Hi everybody, old Gare out here at the Fishing Shack, and welcome to this week's Fishing Chums Fishing Report. We hope you had a good week. It's been kind of yucky weather-wise. I'm taping the show on Thursday the 24th. It's raining out, it's windy out, it's kind of cool out. It's been that way pretty well all week. A lot of wind here in the Ozarks. And speaking of wind, wow, we've had some bad weather earlier in the week, Sunday night, or should say Monday morning around 2:30 here in South Missouri. We had some bad storms move in. Several small tornadoes touched down. In fact, we have a photo out at Beaver Lake. They had a lot of wind damage out there. We'll be showing you this a little bit later on. But the fishing for the diehards has been pretty good. We have still good reports from out at Stockton Lake. The diehards out there this week's been catching more white bass the last few days. Been picking up crappie, a few walleye. Out at Truman, the same story. Those fish are on the flats and the structures. These crappie are being caught in nice quality size, and the blue cat fishing's been good out at Truman as well. Fair fishing at Table Rock and Bull Shoals for bass. So I think we're going to go fishing.
Chums!
Hi, golly, thanks for being with us. And again, we had around 10,000 views last week. We may be over that right now, so I want to thank the people over on YouTube. Not a lot of you people are using YouTube right now. You're going over to Facebook. I guess it's easier for you. No matter where you go, we appreciate your views. And we're having our groups, so around and over 10,000 views again this week. God bless you. Hey, how about that for this time of year? It's awesome. Okay, let's go out to Beaver Lake. Hey, don't forget, I'm getting ahead of myself. At the end of the program, Kathy and I have some really good photos to show you. Hey, it's a lot of fun this week. And I've got an interview. A few days ago, me and old catfish Rick Ellis got together. We're going to be talking about catfishing, and that's at the end of the program as well. So we've got a good show today. Beaver Lake, 65 degrees out there this morning. Ooh, it's cooling off, cooling off. And Beaver had some bad problems that Sunday night or Monday morning around 2:30 or 3. That they had some real bad wind problems out there, maybe minor tornadoes. But look at the dock damage out at Beaver. It's several of the marinas. So I know they're going to be getting that fixed quite quickly, but they did have some wind damage out there. But everything's okay. All right, Beaver Lake, I tell you what, the lower third of the lake would be my area. I'd fish this weekend because today, Thursday, Friday don't look very good. Tomorrow, when the show will be airing in the morning, and then Saturday don't look very good either. It's going to be cool and maybe some wind problems in some areas. Sunday will be my pick day. This is the third week in a row I've had my Sunday has been the pick day. It's been the better day, and it looks pretty good in the 60s. So hopefully everything will be okay. So Beaver at the lower end of the lake is going to be the place to fish because they've had some rain out there. Some of the creek areas and the river areas are dirty, but they've been picking up some bass. I tell you what, they're picking up largemouth or schooling along with the spots and smallmouth. And the lower third of the lake, sometimes the guys are finding them with their electronics and big schools and spoon fishing for them. Early in the morning and evening hours, they may be coming up chasing schools of shad. And my top bait out there would be the pop-R. They want a little subtle bait. So use that pop-R. You're going to catch some fish. You get into them schooling. So the bass fishing has been pretty good. When we're also tried the points and secondary points with the wind, slow rolling spinner baits and square bill crankbaits. Jig fishing's been pretty good out there as well. A few stripers, not many this week, but a few have been caught out in 25 to 40 foot of water. And I've had some reports of some white bass being caught out there the last couple of weeks on the windy, last couple of days on the windy points and windy shores. So check this out. Crappie fishing slowed a little bit because not many people have been out. Try crappie fishing in 15 to 25 feet of water over structure, jig and minnow. I tell you what, right now, a good bait out there is a pink-headed jig, fluorescent pink with a shad body. Tip it with a medium-sized shiner or minnow and get down there in 15 to 25 feet of water over structure. Okay, how about trout fishing? We don't talk about Roaring River very often, but Kevin Pruitt was out the other day. Look at this beautiful trout that Kevin picked up at Roaring River. Oh, what a beautiful spot. Fun to fish out there, isn't it? Good going, Kevin. Let's go out to Table Rock. The water temperature out there this morning was 65 degrees. Jeannie Greeley Johnson was out the other day up in the Kings River arm, had her beautiful granddaughter. Now, isn't that a beautiful child? I love granddaughters. I love to take my granddaughters fishing. Great photo. There was up the Kings River. You know, that might be a little bit dirty now because since Jeannie was out there, we've had some rain. It's raining today. But boy, there has been some good fishing out there. In fact, Jeannie caught some limits of crappie, and Jeannie will be featured at the end of the program holding up a nice bass she caught in the Kings River this past weekend. What a beautiful granddaughter. Beautiful, beautiful. And so it's been raining at Table Rock. We have some reports, though. If you're going to go out in the morning or the next couple of mornings, again, I'm saying Sunday morning's going to be the pick morning. Start off some of the points shallow. Always have a topwater bait at your fingertips. You never know when a school might come up. But try the Ned rig. We talked about this the last couple of weeks. Try shallow on those long runs, those big gravel runs, those big points. Try 4 or 5, 6, 7 feet of water with that Ned rig, the do nothing rig. And then you may want to go a little bit deeper. But as the sun starts to come out, like say Sunday morning, go deeper, 25 to 30 feet of water with a drop shot. That may pay off for you. And they've been picking up some fish on swim baits out at Table Rock this week, pitching jigs, and those windy points. Get up there and use those square bill crankbaits. And up in the river area, the big coves, deep coves, you might try slow rolling a spinner bait. But we might have a little water problem up there as far as water clarity. We just have to see. All right, other than that, a few walleye I know 2 walleye been caught this week. And jig and night crawler, not so much the clicker shad, in about 25 feet of water on the points. Been slow, not many people fishing for them. Crappie fishing's been a little slow because the water's dirty enough a little bit. If you go to the brush piles, it might pay off for you. Jig and minnow in about 15 to 25 feet of water. Also, a good shot at catching a crappie this weekend would be around the dock, especially with the dock with some brush. Try that this weekend. All right, let's go out to Lake Taneycomo. The water temperature is 57 degrees. It's always cooler, colder coming out of that deep Table Rock Dam. Trout fishing's been pretty good. Hey, I have to apologize. I got ahead of myself last week. I want to tell you, I've caught hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of brown trouts and rainbow trouts at Taneycomo and the White River, several different areas in the country. And I do know the difference between a brown trout and a rainbow, but I messed up last week. I called that beautiful 9-pound trout a rainbow, and we all know that was a brown trout. I apologize. Gee, I don't know, I'm getting old. That's it. At Lake Taneycomo, this photo from Trout Hollow Lodge. Good people out at Trout Hollow. Fishing out there. These people were fishing a couple days ago. That's always a great place to stay and a great place to catch fish, Trout Hollow. Trout fishing has been fair this week. They've been drifting. Night crawlers is still the #1 bait. And also they've been picking up some fish on that little pink, that Berkeley trout worm, about a 3 or 4 inch worm, pink, wacky style. Been picking up some fish on this. And also they're using that with a leader, not a leader, but a float, a strike indicator or a float. And it has been around 5 feet of water, but they're deeper now. You might want to go to 8 or 9 feet of water using that strike indicator or float. And they've been picking up some fish on small jigs out there as well. So Taneycomo might get out there and get bit. Let's go out to Bull Shoals. 65 degrees surface temperature this morning. Have this photo from Dale Colvin. You know Dale, he's a great guy, great guide out of Bull Shoals boat dock in Bull Shoals. If you ever need a guide on Bull Shoals, this is the guy. He always catches fish. Look at this. This is from Dale. Beautiful fish. They've been catching some nice fish out there the last few days. Okay, they're trying to go back into the creek arms, and some of the areas might be a little dirty because of the recent rains, but this is what's been happening back in the creek arms, even quite a ways back in or midway. Find big schools of shad. You might get a topwater bite out there. Rattle traps, I've heard, and we've been having some reports of just flipping some jigs in these areas as well. And they've been picking up some fish out on the main lake. On the points and secondary points, you go out deep. 25, maybe 30 feet of water. You might want to try some spoon fishing out there if you find no shad with some fish mixed in with it, or maybe a drop shot. In the morning hours or late evening hours as well, you might want to try a Ned rig out there off some of these points in shallower water, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 feet of water. And they've been picking up some fish out there on a swim bait as well. So bull shoals, Dale's catching them. Boy, good, great guide and a good guy. Been picking up a few walleye out at Bull Shoals this week. Not a lot of people fishing, getting on those points as secondary points. And I'd say they average about 25 feet of water. And they've been picking up some fish on jig and night crawlers using electric motors. If you don't have wind, I think you're going to have wind. And these overcast days, go to a spoon. You might be able to pick yourself up some walleye spoon fishing out at Bull Shoals. A few crappie are being caught at the Bull on some of the sunken brush piles, 15, 20, 22 feet of water. Check this out. Okay, Bull Shoal, great place. That lake's getting close to normal. It's still a few feet high, but it's getting there. The water clarity in the main channel looks real good. Stockton, water temperature was 63 degrees out at Stockton this morning. Cooling off. Michael Conrad was out the other day. He was fishing a bridge pilings and picked up this nice bass along with several crappie. Michael, good going. And they have picked up several crappie this week in the structure, I would say down around 20, I'd say 22, 20, up to 15 feet of water. Vertically fishing jig and minnows out there. A few walleye have been caught at Stockton this week. Not real big fish, but good eating fish. Hey, that's good. They're fun to catch, fun to eat. Half a night crawler with a jig, like an 1/8 ounce jig. If you have a little bit of wind, you may even want to go to a 1/4 ounce. Just using your electric motor if you don't have wind. I don't think you're having any problems there. Just going back and forth on those points in about 15, 20, 22 feet of water. Some people have been trolling occasional walleye up at Stockton using the flicker shad. By the way, I've had good reports the last couple of days out of Stockton, the white bass fishing. Several good white bass have been caught on the windy points. So check this out. And they're still catching crappie out there. Boy, good going. Let's go out to Palmy. Palmy, the water temperature was 64 degrees this morning. Cooling off. The lake is looking good. And Michael Williams was out the other day. Don't tell me they're not catching crappie out at Palmy. Look at Michael. They got a pickup full of them. Nice picture, nice photo, Michael. And they're still catching crappie out there. Some people are around the bridge pilings, the bridge pillars. Some people are getting out there in shallow water, trying it and working those jigs, jig and minnows. And some of the structures out there are really starting to pay off right now. Some good crappie fishing out at Pomme de Terre. By the way, I've had good reports of bass. For the few people who've been out bass fishing, the bass fishing's been pretty good at Palmy. And the catfishing been good on big balls of worms or cut shad out at Palmy. Let's go out to Truman. They're still catching fish out there. It's been kind of rough weather, but the old diehards have been catching fish. Look at David Bell. He was out the other day fishing some structure. Beautiful fish. Nice quality fish. Good going, David. Really nice fish. And look at these crappie are on some of the flats, and they're still catching them over the structure. The pole timber, they're picking up some fish on those hedgerows, and vertically fishing, all vertically fishing, and some of the brush piles out there around some of the cedar trees as well. Good crappie fishing. And some of the main lake points, lower lake points, with a little bit of brush in them are producing some crappie right now too off some of these bluff ends. Check this out. Check this out. Our old buddy Jordan Lear was out the other day catfishing. He is a catfishing man. And Jordan picked up this beautiful cat. Good going, my friend. Boy, he can catch him. And I'm sure he was using cut shad. He's really a catfish artist. Good going, Jordan Lear. David Ball, beautiful fish. Keep it up. Okay, let's go to the photo of the week. David Shelby was out just a few days ago, and this is out on Lake of the Ozarks. Look at this nice bass. Wow, good going, David. And he was using, I've been preaching about these 10-inch plastic worms. And he caught this beautiful bass on Lake of the Ozarks the other day on a 10-inch plastic worm. How about that, David? our photo of the week. David Shelby, good going. Crappie fishing slowed down a little bit out there. I think it's mainly because not many people's fishing for them. But I'm getting more reports around some of the docks than I am out on the main points and secondary points around the brush. So try the dock fishing. And some of the crappie I heard was going back in some of the deep coves, and try this a little bit as well. But you never know about these points and secondary points. I wouldn't give up on them, that's for sure. Jig and minnows have been the best overall bait. Good going, David. Nice bass, 10-inch plastic worm. Okay, other than that, the bass fishing, we've had reports out at Lake the Ozarks. Swim baits are paying off a little bit more. On those windy points, they're picking up some fish on square-billed crankbaits and slow-rolling spinner baits. And the catfishing continues to be good at Lake the Ozarks on these points throughout the lake. You want to do some catfishing, might catch yourself some blues, get up on these points in 15 to 25 feet of water, cut shad or perch have been the best baits. And they're occasionally picking up a walleye out there as well. Let's go out to Norfolk. Water temperature was 66 degrees out there this morning. And they've been picking up some fish at Norfolk. More good reports of slab crappie being caught in about 25 to 30 feet of water in the brush piles. And the man-made government brush piles too are starting to pay off more this week. For the few people that's been out at Norfolk, they have really been catching some really quality fish. And they've been having some good bass. The bass fishing's been pretty good out at Norfolk this week as well. They're starting to school, a little topwater action in the morning and evening hours. And they've been picking up some fish just kind of on a variety of baits. Some people have been using square-billed crankbaits, spinner baits, swim baits. Norfolk looks good for the upcoming weekend. Few stripers, not much, but you know that rain, a lot of times these stripers will move up in those creek areas this time of the year. But some of them are coming back on these deep water flats, and we'll be talking more about that next week. We have some great photos coming your way. Kathy and I have some real fun photos coming your way. But right now, my old buddy Catfish Rick Ellis, my old sidekick, I got a hold of him the other day, and we talked about catfishing. And we've had a lot of great catfishing right now. We've had good reports out at Truman, as we just mentioned. I've had reports at Stockton, Pomme de Terre. Also Bull Shoals. All the lakes are producing some pretty good catfishing. Now if you want to go catfishing, I talked to my old buddy Catfish Rick, who loves to fish Table Rock up in the James River arm, and I asked him what he's going to be doing in the next few days. Hi everybody, we got a special edition of Fishing Chums. I got my old buddy, my sidekick, Catfish Rick Ellis. Welcome to the show.
All righty. Well,
Catfish is a catfishman. Did you see that big catfish they caught at Truman the other day? That big photo?
Oh, yeah.
It was a monster.
Huge.
And there's some big cats being caught here in the Ozark right now. In fact, you and the vets are getting ready to do your fall catfish camp.
Yeah, I'll be probably start camping probably next week.
All right, and they go up the James River arm, and nobody else fishes for cats up there hardly, and they catch a bunch of them. Tell me, we've had people texting saying, I'm going to go catfishing. I know shad's still a good bait. What do you recommend in the fall?
Well, I still like to set up my perch trap, and I catch small perch, and I use perch on the trot lines.
How big a perch do you like?
Oh, they're about that big.
About that long.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so you like to put out your trout lines, and then you go check them a couple times during the day?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, really what I do is I put them out in the evening, and I bait them in the evening and check them in the morning because during the daytime, turtles get them.
The dreaded turtles.
Yeah.
They'll be disappearing here for long. But I know you guys do it in spring. You caught a lot of fish last spring up there. You're doing it again this fall. And it's good for you and the vets to get together and you have a good time up there camping and running those lines. And sometimes you go out and you do a little pole fishing for them too.
Yes, but we also, the white bass come in. And we catch a lot of white bass also in the daytime.
Yeah. That's a lot of fun.
So
you bet.
Yeah,
well, that's good. So catfishing's good out at Table Rock, like a lot of the other lakes here in the Ozarks. Catfish Ellis knows catfish. If you see him out there, give him a holler and stay away from his trout lines.
Yes.
Thank you, Catfish.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Catfish Rick Ellis, the catfishman, going out and setting those lines. Some people like catfish love to set lines with perch. Other people like to rod and reel it no matter how the catfish are biting here in the Ozarks. Go get them. Some big ones, too. Some big ones. Thanks, Catfish. Okay, I want to thank you for being with us here on Fishing Chums Fishing Report. Here we are, going on to the last week of October. Isn't this crazy? I know we have some great weather coming our way. We got to get this system out of here, but maybe you can get out this weekend, especially Sunday, and get bit. Want you to like and share. We really appreciate for you few people that's watching over on YouTube. we used to have greater numbers on YouTube, but like I said at the beginning of the program, they're going over to Facebook, and we had around 10,000 views again this week. Facebook and our groups and YouTube. Thank you very much. Sure to like and share. And I tell you what, be sure to, you people that are watching over on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. Put it up there, Catherine. All right, subscribe. We really appreciate this. And if you have any photos, we've been getting a lot of photos sent to us and really appreciate it. Just go to email us. Email us at fishingchums@gmail.com. And other than that, that's about it. I have a photo of my buddy, Brandon Williams, my sidekick, who he and I put this together. He did all the work. About 3 years ago. God bless him. He's back at a private school in the Northeast, and he hasn't had time to work on the show, but thank God I found Kathy Adams. She's doing a great job. But look what I found the other day, what my buddy Brandon was doing. Look at that surf. He is a surfer, going to school and walking down the street and going surfing. You can't hardly beat that. Love you, Brandon. You are the man. Well, thanks for being with us. We have some great photos coming your way. God bless you. We'll check you next week right here on Fishing Chums.